So let's just circle back to what I asked at the beginning. Can we honestly say customer experience is better than it was 10 years ago? One thing businesses need to do today is to fix the basics before adding complexity. Leaders need to challenge outdated thinking and rethink performance management. Driving metrics is not going to deliver you the output and the successes that you want for your business. Behavioral driven action is what will ultimately lead to natural and sustained positive performance within your organization. What leaders also need to do is not necessarily jump on the bandwagon too quickly and copy what every other company is doing. Technology absolutely plays a part in contact center delivery and performance. It absolutely will deliver improvements to customer and employee outcomes, but only if it's done and executed in the right way. What businesses need to recognize is where are the areas, where are the parts of the process where it is failing? Let's just look at service levels in general. Are customers being answered on service lines as quickly as they are expecting to be answered? What's driving that? What are calls handled in an effective and efficient way? Is the variance of performance of employees managed and controlled? And if it's not, what are the underlying factors for that? Is it because we're pushing far too much as leaders on the metric delivery? Or is it because we're not enabling or giving our employee base enough tools to be able to manage these outcomes naturally by coaching them properly? If I was to use a sporting analogy, no tennis player ever got coached by being told, win more games. So why do we think that an agent is going to necessarily be able to reduce their average handle time by just saying, reduce your average handle time? In actual fact, sporting analogies are really quite great because you also wouldn't go to a footballer and say, score more goals, right? There's a reason why sports people train relentlessly. You only see them, obviously, playing their big games when they're televised and all of that sort of thing. However, behind the scenes, there is an awful lot of focus, an awful lot of training, an awful lot of coaching that goes into building their proficiency in their chosen discipline and being consistent. That's the challenge. If you are consistent with the way that you coach, that is focused on behavioral change, you will deliver sustainable performance that adds value to business outcomes. So for me, let's stop complicating things. Let's start making it easier for employees, for leaders, and for customers by being consistent and focusing on the right things rather than taking a scattergun approach by implementing technology, which your business might not necessarily be ready for at that moment in time. So given all of the challenges that the contact center or CX customer service industry is facing at the moment, given the fact that there are so many companies that are focused very much on metric-based coaching, metric-based performance management, what I think needs to change is we need to have a fundamental rethink of what is driving or maintaining our mediocre performance. My own personal philosophy is why are we happy sitting in a pool of mediocrity when we could be elevating our performance and actually setting the bar for other companies to follow. That's where SetX Solutions really comes in, because for me, I want to work with businesses that are not happy with mediocrity in their day to day. I want companies to recognize that, as Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting different results. So let's shift the mindset and move from a more metrics based coaching methodology to behavior driven leadership, which essentially is going to drive improvements holistically across everything without having to drive metrics, almost organic, like an osmosis effect, to improve performance naturally. And the way that it should be packaged is businesses need to work with me to fix their operational bottlenecks before throwing new technology in. All that you will be doing otherwise is making the situation worse, creating more and more layers that you will have to peel back and ultimately still have to fix beneath the technology. Now, for me as well, AI should human service, not replace it. Performance management should focus on sustainable improvement, not short-term fixes, knee-jerk reactions. Because from what I've seen in my experience, I see a lot of get-rich-quick schemes, lots of knee-jerk reactions, lots of, well, if we fix this, it will fix the problem. It won't. Fundamental basics, building on broken foundations is never going to lead to sustainable and sustained performance. It's just never going to work. Every single business that I've worked with, whereby they've had broken processes in place to begin with, they have never succeeded by overlaying technology layer. It's never worked. The best businesses today aren't the ones with the most tech. They're the ones that make it easiest for customers and employees to succeed. Look at that new CRM system that companies bring in. Big businesses will talk about the fact they need more data, they need more analysis, they need things to tell the executive teams exactly what's working in the business. So to do that, we're going to put a nice shiny CRM solution in the mix. Now, the people that are putting that CRM solution in place aren't necessarily thinking about the employee experience and how the employee is going to be using that system. Many businesses will just be looking for what they want to get out of it. What dispositions are we going to be able to report on? And what data do we need to drive our business? Now, some companies, unfortunately, build their CRM systems incorrectly, and they make it almost impossible to use for the frontline agent. Now, many AHT challenges that I've seen haven't been generated as a result of bad people at all, but they have been generated from bad systems. What SetX Solutions can do is a complete analysis and review over how systems are built to enable people performance. Because sometimes you're just not aware of the fact that systems can be getting in the way of good performance. When businesses introduce new technology, that's only the start of the journey. The employee adoption of that technology and the usability of that technology and the refinement of that technology is an essential part of what really also needs to change. There are very many businesses out there that think that it's a one and done approach to implement something which they have firmly committed to their boards that is going to deliver absolute fundamental progress on performance, and then it doesn't. Now, sometimes what then happens is the technology gets shelved or parked, or you move on to your next initiative. The issue isn't necessarily the technology. It's the way that this technology has been implemented, which is the issue. The change hasn't been managed. The workforce haven't been engaged. The workforce haven't been involved in the process. That could very well be one of the main stumbling blocks towards sustainable success.
Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Content Classroom. I often get asked the question, Paul, I'm producing loads of content. I feel like all I ever do is write posts for LinkedIn, and yet I'm still not seeing anything come out the back of it. There's an absolute multitude of reasons as to why that might be the case.